Hey everyone, so real quick before this tier list starts, I just wanted to say that this one is slightly different from other ones because I did do it on stream instead of recording it for YouTube. That did allow people to ask questions in chat and for me to kind of give my thoughts and stuff on it in real time. But maybe you guys don't like that as much because it's not as catered towards YouTube and it's going to be a lot longer. So basically just let me know in the comment section below if you'd like me to just kind of go back to the old style of tier list or you would like to see the stream version. Yeah, I'm pretty much just looking for thoughts on it and to see if I should keep doing it forward. Otherwise, please enjoy the rest of the video. So this is our 13.21 tier list that we haven't like changed at all. So 13.22, I think changes to mid are pretty minuscule, right? Like they did Kassadin change, they did Ziggs change, and then the attack speed. So the Kassadin thing is what? They nerfed his... Okay, so they nerfed this by 5%. And they nerfed this by 10%. So I think Kassadin's probably still good where he was good before. In my opinion, he was always just like a counter pick champ. I don't think he was like super broken. And then Seraphine. So Seraphine, they tried to move around mid a bit. So damage per note is up base damage, but they reduce their AP ratios, increase the cooldown on Q, and the shield damage is a little different. Okay, so that's all whatever. And then the Ziggs nerfs are mainly for bot lane. So it's 22 armor to 18. I guess this affects Ziggs if you're playing it in AD matchups. They buffed his attack frame. So yeah, I think Ziggs is already in a solid spot. So this is the big one, right? The attack speed changes. And so I think, I mean, you could read through it and look at all of these, but I think the biggest differences this makes is one, if you're playing a matchup where you really want to like continually push your opponent under tower, so especially versus melees where they don't have a lot of wave clear and you can just like spam push under tower, I think it's really good for those. I also think there's some champs or in some lanes maybe where you don't take attack speed. Like, okay, before you used to take attack speed all the time because it was like easier for CSing and because it sometimes made a difference between getting prior or not. But I think now, if you know you're in a matchup where you're going to get prior no matter what, you probably don't need attack speed. And that means you can just take an AP shard. And an AP shard, what, 9 AP is like how much gold? Like 100 and some, I think? I don't know. It's like a nice little bit of extra stats, so it's kind of decent. But yeah, I feel like it's like good for lane bullies that want to push the lane. And it's good for range versus melee matchups. Which is kind of interesting because I feel like melees were already sort of struggling. Like they have D-Shield second win, so they can sustain. But a lot of them really struggle against shit like Orianna and Syndra, right? So yeah, that's kind of the state of the changes. So let's go through our tier list and we'll probably change a few things. Okay, so first off, how are we feeling about S tier? I think Orianna is definitely still S tier. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. I'm wondering if Syndra should join her. So my thinking for Syndra would be like, I think the scaling build is really good. Like, I think Liandry's Cosmic is super nice. I still think she has, like, a variety of keystones, right? Like, she has Phase Rush. She has Area if you really want it. She has First Strike, obviously. The only reason Syndra wouldn't be S tier is because she is a mobile, so she can be ganked. And also, there are some pretty good champs into her. So, like, the thing with Ori is, like, what do you pick into Ori? You can play Syndra Azir, and they're like solid, but it's not amazing. Whereas I feel like if you blind Syndra, Akali, Yone become pretty good. Even something like Fizz can be pretty decent. So I don't know. Does she deserve S tier? I think she's definitely S tier as a counter. I'm just not sure if she deserves S tier as a blind. I honestly think she probably does. But I still think there's a pretty big gap between Ori and Syndra. Like, in my opinion, like, maybe Ori still deserves her own tier. That's kind of what I'm thinking. S minus. I don't want to make too many tiers, though. But I think, yeah. I think she's at the lower end of S, but because it's only 2 champs, they look like they're close by. But I still think Orianna is kind of just the queen. Okay, so what about the next row? So I think Azir should still be really high. So the thing is, Azir is one of the best answers to Ori. I think the Azir Hail of Blades is really good. And I think the fact that you can get Taste of Blood makes playing against the Comet Ori a lot easier. Just damage buffs to Oria. Yeah, basically, like, they just kept buffing her scaling. She's always been a good laner, but they just buffed her scaling over and over. And then, like, eventually became, like, a big problem. But yeah, I think Azir should still be high up. I think if you take the right runes on Azir, he's still very, very strong. And I think he still has potential to, like, yeah, be very strong early game. So I don't think he's really like too bad in solo queue, I guess. Lissandra. So I think Lissandra should actually drop a little bit. And the reason is that Orianna and Syndra are too strong. Thanks for the follow. Like, you can play Liss into Ori and Syndra and gank them. But, I don't know. It's hard. They're really strong. I think they're really strong. So I think Liss should go a bit lower. I think I'm going to move her to here for now, but I'm going to, like, think about it. Okay, so Jayce. I'm pretty sure Jayce is still really high up. I think Jayce is probably the best AD blind mid. And I think Jayce does... He doesn't do that well into Syndra. Like, I think he's kind of bad into Syndra. But he does do well into Ori. Or, like, well enough into Ori. More than Akshan? Yeah, I don't think Akshan's, like, a particularly blindable. Guys, the tier list is not done. I'm editing it, okay? I'm editing it. So I think Jayce... Yeah, it's... I think he deserves to be here. Honestly, maybe you could put Jayce in S. Maybe... Do we think Jayce should be in S? He honestly could be. Like, he is a really... He's definitely the best AD mid, I think. And he has rune options, right? Like, you have Phase Rush or First Strike. He scales really well. He also has, like, a good early game. I think the only reason you wouldn't put Jayce in S is because he does struggle against Syndra. And Syndra's getting picked a lot. But I think if you play Jayce and you ban Syndra, are you really scared of anything else? Like, not really. I actually think Jayce should probably be S tier. Yeah, I think we'll keep him here. Okay, so looking at the rest of this, Akali. So Akali should be a little lower. So the thing with Akali is, like, she's not that blindable, I don't think. But she is a really good answer to Syndra, and Syndra doesn't have that many answers. Thanks for following. So, like, that's important. Because, like, she's probably the best answer to Syndra, I think. So she needs to be in at least A tier. But I don't think she deserves to be that high in A tier. Okay, and then Yone, I'm pretty sure... I think Yone falls out of A tier. Or maybe he's right next to Akali. I'm not sure. What makes Akali good for Syndra? So, Akali has a lot of movement speed, and she can take fleet. And she has D-Shield Second Wind. So it's really, really nice for being able to play around the skill shots. Like, it's hard for Syndra to move around a lane. It's very hard for Syndra to play team fights versus Akali. Yeah. It's basically just, like, the perfect response. It's like, you're ungankable, which is really good versus Syndra. You can rush tier 2 boots, which is really good against Syndra. And, yeah, with, like, the Fleet, Doran, Shield, Second Wind, you've got a ton of move speed, ton of sustain. Makes it really, really nice. Try to learn Pantheon. I don't think Pantheon's that good into Akali, is it? I feel like she can just E your W and then, like, trade back. Maybe she can't. Maybe you can just E it. I don't know. Okay, so does LeBlanc deserve to be this high? I feel like probably not. I think LeBlanc sort of struggles versus Ori. She kind of struggles 1v1 versus Syndra. I don't know. She's like a decent enough response. They did buff her attack speed, right? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong place. What was the LeBlanc specific changes? So they buffed attack speed ratio, and attack speed growth is down. Okay, so, I mean, the base attack speed being up is pretty good because LeBlanc does auto a lot in early game, like even in her trades. I think she's probably A tier as well. I think it's probably like, yeah, this needs some rearranging, I think. So, in my opinion, actually, I don't know. Or should all these champs come down a tier? Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to add a tier. I'm going to add a row below. I think this needs to be S+, and this needs to just be S. And then I think these need to come down. Hold on, I'll change this to green. I think we kind of need this, because I need to differentiate these a bit more. So I think this is fine. Do we move anything up to this? Honestly, yeah. I think Azir goes to here. This looks more like it, in my opinion. So now we... Within this tier, so these are basically your strong mids, right? Like, this is the strongest mid Ori. This is, like, the responses, Syndra and Azir. And also the strongest AD mid, Jayce. I think that makes the most sense. And then, so then behind that, we've got Akali is good, because she's a response to Syndra. LeBlanc is good, because she can punish Jayce, or she can punish Ori or Syndra if she has gankers. You don't want to play these matchups 1v1, but if you have ganking, jungle, and ganking support, then it becomes really good. Lissandra... So Lissandra should probably drop a bit, because I think Lissandra is good against these champs, but they're not going to get blinded so much. So I think Lissandra goes to the top of B. And then I think Vex as well. Does Vex deserve to be in here? Probably not. I think Vex comes down. Maybe Lissandra stays up. Okay, so I'm thinking Lissandra maybe stays up. And then do we put Yone a little bit lower? I mean, what do we think? Like, a lot of people are still spamming Yone. I think the Bork... I'm pretty sure the Bork Iceborne build is better for solo queue. And it does deal pretty well with Syndra. She's quite gankable. Yeah, I don't know. I think Yone probably deserves to be here still. But you could maybe make an argument for him dropping a little bit. But I think this is like kind of the... Yeah, these are like solid. Vex is low-key nutty. I mean, she is. But I think the matchups that Vex are good in are pretty different. Like, I don't think Vex is that good versus any of these champs. Like, she loses to Ori, loses to Syndra, loses to Azir. I guess it's like decent versus Jayce. It's good versus LeBlanc. I don't know. I don't think Vex can be high enough. Seraphine in D tier? Look, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So, are we fine with this? I think so. And then, does Neeko make it to A tier? I think no. I'm pretty happy with where Neeko is at the moment. Taliyah as well. I don't think we really move Taliyah around because I think that Taliyah is... She's still really good against the melees. She can be okay versus Jayce. But yeah. I don't know. I don't think Taliyah does that well with most of these champs. Who outscales between Gragas and Vex? I'd say Vex. I think I'd say Vex. Okay, Sylas. Sylas. Okay, so Sylas is like kinda underrated. Like, okay, Sylas should probably be top of B. So, on one hand, okay, part of me thinks that Sylas sucks. Because he kind of loses 1v1. But the other part of me thinks that he can take D-Shield second wind, which is quite good. And he can also be ganked up against the immobile champs. Thanks for the follow. So I think, like, Sylas versus, like, Syndra is quite good if you have ganking champs. It's kind of like the same with LeBlanc, but I don't think it's quite as good. So I think Sylas deserves to be kind of high, just because of, like, what he brings. Okay, and then the rest of the tier definitely needs some moving around. So I think Ahri is still pretty good. I think Ahri should be pretty high. Like, she is also a good response. And yeah, it can probably be around here, I think. I mean, there is some annoying matchups, but I think she's okay. They're just going to get nerfed. I think they'll either nerf them both, or they might just wait for the mage rework, like, items. But I think they definitely both deserve nerfs. Okay, and then how do we think about all these champs? So, Fizz, I think, is kind of hard done by the Doran's changes. I feel like Fizz can't be that high. But also, he is good versus Syndra. But we've got other champs that are better versus Syndra. So Fizz probably shouldn't really move around that much. Okay, Ziggs I actually will move. So Ziggs mid, I think goes about here, maybe. So, like, Ziggs mid is like... I don't know, if you get a good matchup for it, it's really good. Because you can snowball the game really hard. I think Ziggs bot is still better, even after the armor nerfs. But yeah, if you play something like Ziggs Jarvan mid-jungle, I think it can be good. Again, it's like hard to play against the current mid matchups, but if you get a good Ziggs game, it's good. Zed. Do we think Zed should be lower? How's Zed's win rate looking? Like, I don't think win rates are a great, indicator, but I'd be curious, because whenever I've versed Zed, I feel like he's not much of a problem anymore. Like, he does scale well, but it's like the mages kind of scale better. So... Okay, his win rate stayed about the same. It hasn't really changed. I guess we'll leave him for now. Okay, Cassio. Cassio is really good against some champs mid. Basically, Cassio is really good if the enemy mid blind picks something silly. But it's kind of hard to pick otherwise. So I don't think she really needs to move. And then... Honestly, Lux should probably be higher. I feel like Lux is really OP in solo queue. She, like, wins most of her lanes. Scales pretty well. We'll probably move her a bit. Zoe? What do we think about Zoe? What do we think about Zoe? I think the problem is Zoe is pretty bad against, like, basically every champ up here. Like, Zoe is a good solo queue champ, but she is pretty bad against the meta. I think she should be at, like, the bottom of B tier. I don't think she should be that high. I think it's quite hard to play Zoe at the moment. Okay, Trist. So I'm pretty sure Trish should be higher. Trish should probably go, honestly, like top of B. So Trish is really good if you get a free matchup. Like, it's one of the best counter picks in the game. And she's just lower because she's basically, like, not a good blind. What about Gwen mid with first strike? Probably good in the melees. Yeah, it's probably good in the melees. Why is Ori so strong? So, Ori is just basically too broken overall. Like, she's really, really good against pretty much everything in the meta, which is nice. She has a really strong lane. She scales really, really well. So, yeah, she basically does everything well. And the only weakness is really getting ganked. And even then, she's pretty good at avoiding ganks. Like, she has phase rush, she has her W, and she has E. So, it's quite hard to punish Ori. That's why Azir is, like, pretty good. I think Lux is good. Yeah, I swear Lux is super good. I think Lux is so good against other mages. Like, Ori and Syndra can be kind of tough, but honestly, like, Lux can win them. And she beats basically every other mage. I think Lux is really underrated. So yeah, Trist, I think we're good with the Trist position. Maybe she could go a tiny bit higher. I don't know. And then, okay, so what's next? Rumble? Okay, so I'm pretty sure Rumble has kind of fallen off. So even though Rumble uses D-Shield's Second Wind, Rumble is mainly good against other melees, and there aren't that many melees being played. I think maybe you could play Rumble with Jarvan into, like, in a mobile mid, like Doinby used to do. But I don't think it's that good. Like, honestly, maybe Rumble should come down to C tier. I think he probably should. I'll think about moving him back up, but I think for now he sits there. Pantheon as well, I mean, really struggles versus these champs, I think. So not much reason to pick Pantheon, although he's still good if they, like, blind a melee. I'm not sure. He should probably stay in B, but I don't think he's as strong as he used to be. I think he goes, like, here or something. Hey, Annie. So I think Annie might be one of the most buffed champs by the attack speed. So she gets more attack speed ratio, and faster missile speed. And Annie is a champ that actually autos in lane a lot. And it's really, really annoying to play against Annie. Because she can just, like, auto trade on you so easily. So I think Annie is actually, like, pretty good. I think Annie might be, like, here maybe. I don't think she's, like, too high. But I think she's, like, pretty good. Do I think Ahri needs buffs? Not really. I think Ahri is, like, she's fine, I think. Ahri is, like, never really, like, the solo carry champ. And I think Everfrost Ahri is really good at just having a lot of impact. So, I don't know. I don't think I'd move Ahri at all. What else we got? Okay, Irelia. So, Irelia is... I think she's good versus Syndra and Jayce and Azir. And she's, like, okay versus Ori. So, she should probably be, like, on the list, because she's good into these. But the problem with Irelia is, like, the champ itself is not that strong. She's also really hard to play. And you need an AP jungler. So there's, like, a lot of requirements. So I think she's probably fine where she is. But I don't think she really deserves to be any higher. Okay, and then Viktor. I don't know. Viktor's in a weird spot. I think Viktor is actually, like, a pretty good champ. But he's just, like, there's champs that do his job better, right? So, like, Viktor, he wins lane really hard against a champ like Ori, but he's immobile, he has no gank setup, and he sucks at skirmishing. So I don't think, yeah, I don't know. It's really hard, I think, to play Viktor, and it's really, I don't know why you would play Viktor over Syndra or Azir right now, other than he might be easier than, like, Azir. So I think Viktor is probably also kind of low. I think he might be, yeah, about here, where I feel like he doesn't provide a whole bunch of value. Okay, now Xerath. I think Xerath should actually be quite a bit higher. So Xerath is pretty good into Ori. Xerath's good versus Azir. It's good. Yeah, it's good enough versus Jayce. He's kind of like Lux tier for me. Like, he should probably be around these champs of, like, he has good matchups. He also has bad matchups. But he can impact other lanes with his ult, which is nice. So yeah, I don't know. I think he's pretty solid overall. So we're kind of done with the B tier. Now we might move some things up. So let's see. Rumble. Should Rumble come back up? I think probably not. Like, I don't really see any Rumble. Yeah, I don't really see Rumble at all. Now, should Galio come up? So Galio, I don't know. It's good versus Akali, but it's, like, not amazing versus Akali. You know, it's just, like, fine. And I think it sucks against basically everything else up here. You're pretty much only playing Galio if you have, like, Jarvan, Camille, Rakan, or, like, a comp you can peel. I don't know. I don't think it goes any higher than that. Should probably leave this. I actually think, okay, before we do Anivia, I think Naafiri should probably come up. I don't know how much you guys verse Naafiri. I actually don't see her very often, but I think like she is one of the few assassins that has like a tanky build. And she can also farm from range, which is nice. And I think the first strike build on her is pretty good. Yeah, I think Naafiri is like probably she's in B. I just don't know where. Maybe like here? Yeah, I think maybe like there is fine. I think that's like a good placement for Naafiri to be. She could honestly probably go higher. I think if you're not playing in high-elo, she probably is higher. But I think in high-elo, these are kind of the best right now. Okay, so let's move along. Anivia. Do we think Anivia should come up? Why is Zoe so low? Basically because she doesn't do well against any of the champs up here. Like, she's a really good champ for solo queue. Like, she really thrives in the chaos, but she doesn't have, like, any good matchups in the moment, which is really rough. Like, yeah, she just doesn't have any good matchups. Is she better than Zed? I don't think she's better than Zed. But, I don't know, maybe she could be. She probably snowballs harder than Zed, to be honest. So Anivia, I think Anivia is, like, it's got some good matchups. Like, I think it's good into Jayce. I think it's good into Yone. But, like, that's about it. And, like, I don't think people are blinding Yone. So I don't think she really deserves to go any higher. Like, I'm not sure why I would go Anivia over, like, Lissandra, for example, or, like, Ahri or something. Yeah, I think she probably stays right here. Now, Tryndamere could maybe go up. I think Tryndamere might make it into B. I think we might put Trynd, like, here. I think Trynd goes here. Like, Trynd makes a lot of use of D-Shield Second Wind. And he can out-sustain a lot of these matchups. I think he also... Yeah, I don't know. He uses current itemization pretty well. I think Trynd can go here for now. Okay, Talon. Do we think Talon moves around at all? I haven't seen many Talons lately. I don't actually think I've seen a Talon in, like, weeks. I'm trying to think, like... Is Talon good into any of these? Not really, I don't think. Feels like you get bullied out pretty hard. I think there are better AD assassins, so I don't think he should really move. Qiyana is kind of the same thing. I think that right now it's really hard for assassins to get solo kills. So you're kind of like relying on like random stuff to happen, which is like fine if random stuff does happen. But I think, I don't know, it's hard to like justify her going up. At the same time, like if you're a Qiyana one trick, you always have potential to kind of 1v9. Diana, okay, so Diana could maybe go up in C tier. I think I might just move her a tiny bit. So I think Diana is like, if you pick something like Diana, Jarvan, Rel, you can make it pretty hard for one of these champs to play the game. You know, like even though they win your 1v1, you can gank them a lot. But I think that's like pretty rare. You know, like unless you're doing with your jungler as a Diana, it's pretty hard to make that happen, I think. Karma? Should Karma go up? They just nerfed Graves. I think Karma Graves was pretty good. And I think Karma kind of gives free scaling to these champs. So, I don't know. I actually think, like, Karma would have been here probably last patch, like, because Karma Graves is really good, but I actually think you're just giving free scaling to Ori Syndra at the moment. So, probably not much point. Akshan probably should make it into B tier. So, I don't think Akshan is very good versus many of the meta mids. Like, I don't think it's good versus Syndra. It's not good versus Azir. But it is okay versus Ori. Is it okay versus these? I mean, it's fine. I don't think he should be that high in this list. But I don't think he should be in C tier. Yeah, I think he should probably be somewhere in here anyway. Somewhere in B tier. A tier, AP or AD. So, I'm putting... This is, like, in my head, it's AP LeBlanc. It's possible like AD LeBlanc could be better, but I've only seen it once, and I don't know, it felt strong in early game, but the problem is still like the scaling, I think. It's hard to team fight, it's hard to do like the dragon fights and stuff like that. Get into a lot of the champs though. Like what? Like he's not good versus Syndra, he's not good versus Azir. Thanks for following. I don't think he's like good versus Jayce. So it's really just Ori. And like, admittedly, like being good versus Ori is pretty valuable in the patch, but you would rather play Trist versus Ori. Yone Akali? Yeah, but like these champs shouldn't be blinded, right? And like if you're picking into Yone Akali, like I think Lissandra is probably the best. Lissandra or LeBlanc are both really good versus Akali. And like Vex is really good versus Yone. I don't know. I think you're right. Like he does have some good matchups, but I feel like they're not that common. I think he should make it into B tier though. Like it's a champ that if you have the counter pick, you can scale or you can snowball pretty well. But I think if you're just like an Akshan one trick, he probably shouldn't be that high. Okay, Yasuo. Should Yasuo be higher? I think he should probably be higher within C tier. So I might put Yasuo like here. I think... Oh, should he go up? I don't know. The thing with Yasuo is if you get the right comp and the right matchup, he's really good. Like if you can play, say, Yasuo, Diana, Rel, Malphite or something, he's really good. And he honestly is good against some of these matchups. Like he's not good versus Azir. I think he's fine versus Syndra. I think he's, okay versus this. Not great. Like, I don't know, if you have ganking champs. Could he make it into B tier? Honestly, probably, yeah. He should probably go here. I think that, like, the champs that are going here are basically, like, sure, they might not win early game, but they can at least scale a bit. Whereas, like, it feels like these champs don't scale, and they don't win early game, which makes it hard. Okay, Twisted Fate. So, TF. I don't know. TF, it's not good versus any of these. It is good versus Akali. But that's about it. And it's got some really rough matchups. Like, I think it's really hard into these champs. And I think it's pretty hard into... It's pretty hard into these. I don't know. He probably shouldn't be in C tier. Or if he is, it's very high C tier. Maybe he could go higher. I don't know. There's a lot of, like, roaming and ganking, like, champs at the moment. So he probably should make it into B tier. He should probably be, like, here somewhere, I think. But I don't think he should be too much higher than that. Now, what else have we got? Katarina. So I don't really know where to put Cat. This is kind of like up to you guys. I think the regular AP Cat build is terrible. But do people still play that like... is it Heartsteel? Is that what they play? Or do they play Sunfire? I can't remember. Do they still play the Tank Cat? I'm not really sure where to put it. Because I think, yeah, just regular Cat is really terrible. But maybe it has some OP builds. Yeah, to be honest, I'm just not really sure where to rate this. Like, I have not versed a Heartsteel Katarina, so I don't really know. And I also don't play Katarina. I guess for anyone watching this, it would be... If you're playing AP Cat, I think she really sucks. But if you're playing, like, Tank Cat, she's probably good. And could maybe be higher. But I'm just not really sure where to rate her. Okay, and then Kassadin. So, I don't think Kassadin really deserves to move that much. He should probably be a bit higher. Just because, like, yeah, he did get nerfed this patch. But I think even though Kassadin is not that great a champ, he is really good if people are blinding bad champs, you know? Like, if people blind, like, Sylas or Akali or Katarina, like, Kassadin is really, really good into these champs. So I'll probably leave him about here. Yeah, I think even though he got nerfed, I kind of want to move him up just because he is picked into a lot of the champs. I don't think Kassadin is very good with Syndra Ori. I know a lot of people have commented stuff like that. I really don't think it's good. Like, I think these champs can win the game long before Kassadin can do anything. Like, Kassadin will never get pushed out of lane so much, but they just have so much more impact in the first 25 minutes. And I think the game is often just decided around there. So, yeah, I don't think that really needs to change. Ryze. So, I mean, Ryze is kind of bad. Like, Ryze is good versus Yone, and he's good versus Akali. But, again, these champs aren't normally blinded. So... I don't know. Should Ryze move? He could maybe... I don't know. The thing is, like, sometimes there are good matchups for Ryze, but I always feel like the team comp for Ryze is just terrible. Like, there's so much CC at the moment. There's so much punishment for short range engage. He's probably, like, here for me. I don't think Ryze is that high. Sometimes you can pick him, but I don't think he's that great. Vlad... So I'm pretty sure Vlad is really bad at the moment. I haven't seen a Vlad in a really long time. So the reason Vlad sucks is Oblivion Orb is 40% reduction, and it's only 800 gold. And I also think that pretty much all these champs like have a lot of push and really like make his life hard. I don't know, if you get a free Vlad lane, he's good. But like, what does a free Vlad lane even look like right now? Feels like it's not very common. So he probably stays where he is. Swain, would we ever put Swain higher? I think probably not. It really struggles versus all the mages. It's not that good versus Yone. Like, what would you pick Swain into right now? I'm not even sure. You could maybe play like Ryze Rush Swain into an assassin like Fizz, but Lissandra just feels like such a better answer, right? I don't think we can really justify this being any higher. At least, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, what would I play Swain into? There's just nothing that's gonna be picked blind that I'd ever pick Swain into. So I don't think he's moving. Okay, Ekko. Ekko has potential. So Ekko is... The thing with Ekko is he actually is pretty good versus Syndra if you play Hail of Blades Ekko. But at the same time, like, you'd just be better off playing Akali, right? So I don't think Ekko really moves either. I think he stays where he is. He's just a better jungler. Zilean probably should be a bit higher. So Zilean can go, I think, bottom of B. Maybe like here. I think Zilean has good builds at the moment. Like, Liandry's Cosmic is a really strong build, or you can play the tier build. And he is good with the meta junglers, he's good with the meta supports. But the tough thing is the matchups, right? So it's like, if you get an okay matchup, like if someone blinds something that's not that punishing, you can probably get away with them. But I think it is quite hard to get away with those things. And then Brand, I don't know, should Brand still be a mid anymore? I'm not sure. I haven't seen anyone play Brand mid in a while. I tried it and I didn't really think it was that great. Like, it has, I don't know, it has some potential. I guess I'll leave it on the list, but I don't think it's moving. Let's see, down here though, we're kind of getting to weird stuff. So, Mal's, where would we put Mal's? So there's only B tier? Well, it's mainly because, like, she's not really good against the meta mages. Like, she's a good counter, and, like, she's a good champ, but she's just not good against the meta mages. I don't know, Mal's... Mal's is, like, a good counter pick, but there's not many champs. I don't know, like, what would I pick Mal's into these days? You could play into some assassin, but a lot of the assassins have a lot of wave clear, which makes Mal's life difficult. He does scale pretty well, though. Mal's should probably be a bit higher, but I'm just, like, wondering how much higher. I mean, maybe he goes, like, here or something? I don't think he should be that much higher than that. I think we leave it there. Okay, and then Veigar. What would we play Veigar into? Can't really play it into any of these. People used to play Veigar into Akali, so maybe you could play that. He probably should be a bit higher. I think Veigar is like... I don't think he makes it out of C tier, but he should probably be about here. Like, he's better than these champs, I think. But yeah, I don't think you want to play Veigar versus Syndra or Ori. And probably don't want to play versus Jayce. Oh, you could maybe play versus Jayce. I don't know. It's probably okay. But why would you pick Veigar and, like, lose lane and scale when you can pick something like Syndra and win lane and scale, you know? Take Malzoni into Akali. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Okay, and then Corki. So I've played a little bit of Corki lately, but I really don't think there's any point playing Corki into pretty much anything that's not Azir, or maybe, like, if someone blinds something really weak in lane, like TF, you could go Corki. He should probably be a little bit higher. Like here, maybe, or here. I don't know, maybe there. I don't think he should be that much higher. Should Renekton be on the list? Yeah, you probably should. I'll come and add some more stuff soon. What else we got? Okay, Asol. So I don't think Asol deserves to be this low. I think Asol should be a bit higher. I think... Let's put Asol about here. So I still think he's pretty weak. He still loses most of the lanes. But I think in some lanes, if you can get Ryze and scale up, he is strong. But it's just the matchups are so difficult. If this is for all ranks... Yeah, I mean, I don't know. When I make this, I kind of make it with, like, my elo in mind. Basically because it's like, this is just what I think is strong objectively, right? But, like, you're right. If we really factor in, like, difficulty, then we need to put Jayce and Azir way lower. But I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to say what I think is good and, like, what I think is strongest. And, like, if people want to try focus on champs that are easier to play, like, I agree. I've made lower elo tier lists before. But this is just, like, what I think is strongest overall, basically. If I made a separate low elo tier list, you would probably see, like, a lot of champs like Veigar and Asol, for example, would be a lot higher. Because in low elo, you can get away with scaling and simplicity. So, like, Vex is good. You know, Asol. Mal's. Where's Mal's? Yeah, they'd all be really good. Okay, last one is Vel'Koz. So, I think Vel'Koz is pretty terrible. I'd probably put him, like, here, maybe. He's good versus other mages, but I just don't think he's like that good. To be honest, like, I don't know. If you're really, really good at Vel'Koz, you can obviously make him work. Like, that's the thing. You can get Challenger with any champ on this list, but I think you're really, really shooting yourself in the foot if you play Vel'Koz. Thanks for the follow. I don't know. Like, Vel'Koz is really making your life hard, I think. Okay, so is there anything we should add? I don't want to add, like, every off-meta champ, but I think we will add a couple. So, what do we have? Okay, so Seraphine... I think Seraphine is probably in the B tier. I think she's very similar to Zilean. Yeah, I think she's similar to Zilean. She could... is she even this high? I'm not even sure if she's this high. Maybe she's in C tier. The thing is, okay, what's Seraphine's win rate sitting at right now? Because I've versed only one Seraphine on the patch, and it felt just like an absolute free lane. How do I filter by mid? Sample size not large enough. Okay, so they're not even like really playing Seraphine mid. Yeah, I don't know. It does use the build well, but I think the problem with this is like if you're playing Seraphine mid, you're giving free scaling to something that scales even harder, like a Syndra or an Ori, you know? Like literally everyone's playing Ori, and you're never going to move Ori out of lane as Seraphine, and she might move you out of lane. And I don't think she scales that well. I don't know. I think she... Could she go higher? I think she's still in C tier. The question is just like where. Probably a bit better than Ryze. What do you guys think? I don't think she goes much higher than this. She is easy to play. Like, she's a good low elo champ, I think. But I don't think she can go much higher than this. I think we'll leave it there. I think I'll put Karthus mid on the list. I think Karthus is a really good solo AP mid laner. But that's basically the only time it's ever worth playing. So he's got like a niche, and he's quite good at that niche. But I think he's kind of useless outside that. Like, if no one else on your team has AP, you can lock in Karthus and do really well. I think there, yeah. What else have we got? Sounds like C tier? I mean, yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe you're right. Kai'Sa? I don't think I want to put Kai'Sa on the list. Like, I don't see Kai'Sa at all. Oh, yeah, K'Sante should be on here. Where is K'Sante? Okay, K'Sante's down here. So, I'm pretty sure K'Sante is, like, really good. But I haven't really seen a whole lot of it. I guess the only reason K'Sante wouldn't be good is because you struggle, like, well, you don't struggle. But these champs should outscale you. But at the same time, I feel like he is just really strong. He's probably, like, here, honestly. Maybe he could be higher. The thing is, I feel like my read is pretty bad on K'Sante because I don't play him. And I don't think that many people in my server play him mid either. Like, he could probably be higher. I mean, let's take a quick look. I don't want to, like, overanalyze win rates because I feel like win rates are a bait most of the time. Let's just take a quick look. Okay, so of the people that are playing it, I mean, it's, like, decent enough. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I think he is strong, but I just don't really know how strong. What else? What are you guys saying? Renekton? Yeah, Renekton should be on here. Where is Renekton? I wish I could search. Renekton. So I think Renekton is actually quite good. I want to say Renekton is like... He's like a better version of Pantheon, I think. I think he's probably like right about here. Maybe he could go higher. He is like really good into melees. And honestly, into some range, he's good too. Maybe not these ones. But like, yeah, into some range, he's good. Kayle? I don't think Kayle should make it on. I don't see any Kayle at all. I think Gwen into melees, like you could. But the problem is, if I put Gwen on here, then we're putting literally like every counter that can ever be played, right? Because the thing with mid is there's always some counter. There's always some like... You will always be able to play something into something. Like you can play... Gangplank versus Akali and Malzahar. You can play Fiora into tanks or melees. You can play Malphite against AD mids. And I don't want to put literally everything on the list because it'll take forever. So is there anything else like really egregious that we're missing? I don't really think so. Trying to see. Garen? Honestly, yeah. Maybe. Is there anything here? It doesn't seem like it. I don't know. Garen probably can go on here. The thing is, though, I wouldn't know where to put Garen. Because I don't verse Garen at all, and I don't play him. So I feel like if I rated Garen, I wouldn't know where to put him. Like, or rather, I just wouldn't be confident in what I had. I think I'll leave Garen off the list. I know he can be played mid, but I just don't feel confident enough to rate him. Heimer? No, I don't think Heimer should go on. I don't think he's meta enough. Varus? I don't really think so. No, I think this is good. I don't think anything else should really go on. I mean, I'm going to make one last look, but I think that's basically everything that's, like, sort of close to meta. And, like, yes, there are a million champs that you can play mid. Like, you can play Cho, you can play Gwen, you can play Gragas. But I think this is overall, like, a good mid-tier list. So is there anything on here that we really want to move around? What do you guys think? Is there anything really out of place, do you guys think, on this list? I think there's a lot of champions in B tier and not enough in A tier. Like, maybe Cassante should be A tier? I don't know, he probably should be, right? But at the same time, like, I just don't see him enough. Taliyah, Nico, Ziggs. Yeah, Nico could maybe be higher. Sylas could be A tier. Yeah. Maybe we just move up a few champs. Like, I think the B tier is too big. So we probably need to move, like... I think maybe all these champs should come up. Yeah, I think this makes more sense. I think that way, it's more like... Yeah, this is, like, the strongest side of A tier, and these are, like, the weaker side of A tier. And that kind of, like, rounds that out a bit more. That feels better to me, I think. Is Zed better than Naafiri? I think she is. Or I think he is in high elo. But I think in lower elo, Naafiri is probably better. Because it's like easier to play and scales harder. But I think Zed, well, like Zed can play more lanes than Naafiri can play. I think there's some lanes that kind of suck for Naafiri. You just reply to yourself. No way, Ryze is not B? Nah, I don't think Ryze can go any higher. Best pick against Yasuo Yone other than Lissandra? I mean, you can play Vex. You can play Fizz. You can play Akali. You can play Taliyah. I think there's some decent picks. Okay, I think that's it. What do you guys think? Final call? I don't think anything else really needs to move. Ekko is probably too low. But I don't know where to put him. Like, yeah. He'd probably be higher than this. Maybe it's like about here. I don't think he should move too much. Yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. So, yeah, I think that's good for 13.22. We'll probably leave it there.